Well, one day I was hospitalized with high blood pressure, and I didn't know that I had high blood pressure. I called my doctor, and I said, something's wrong, and I went to CVS, and, went to the high blood pressure machine, and it was up. It was kept being, it was up every time I went that day. And I knew I had a ton of speaking engagements that day, and the bottom number was like over 100, and the top number was like 160 over 120. I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot. So I ended up taking a blood pressure machine at home, and I went and bought one at CVS, and then I still went and did my speaking engagement when I went my day. The next day I called the doctor, and I told my doctor. She told me to go straight to the emergency. So I went to the emergency, and I was thinking, oh, I gave up wine for Lent, so I wasn't drinking wine. I was thinking, oh, I don't need cardiologist. I was thinking I need a mixologist. I just needed to go, and I just needed a glass of wine to bring down my blood pressure, and that was it. But it was more to it, and they were, most of us, it was like when I got admitted to the hospital, they were like, who's your doctor? I'm like, oh, Dr. Google and Dr. Oz. I Google everything to see, okay, or WebMD it or whatever. I didn't really want to pay attention to what the doctors were saying. It's embarrassing I think, just for me, being a woman, being an African-American woman who talks to people all the time, I'm happy all the time, I look like I'm not stressed. It's like, oh my God, people are going to know, I'm stressed. It's like, it's looking at the inner you instead of the outer you. And sometimes it's looking at the outer you, like, wow, they have high blood pressure, what's next? And having any type of illness, I think people kind of look at you differently. And some people are empathetic, some people are sympathetic. And I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me just because, wow, I have high blood pressure, that's all you have. Well, high blood pressure can take you out depending on what you do and how you handle it. So I think I was looking at it differently, how, everybody cares about their image and how people look at them. And it's not about, the clothes you wear. It's not about different things like that. I think it's what's on the inside. And I'm like, wow, my numbers are up. Am I sweating? Do I have a headache? So you look at so many different things that comes along with high blood pressure, and change as you grow older. So it's a lot of things that come along with it, but it's a journey, and it's something I think you don't need to be. I had to learn through my journey that it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Everybody else has, a lot of people have it also. I've changed my diet, and that's definitely a journey, a lifestyle change. Changing your diet when you have high blood pressure is something we all need to do. So I think we need to look at the sodium that we take in. We need to eat more of a balanced diet and have a balanced life. So it's really all about balance. And so that's what we need to do, is try to keep balance in what we do. I think I write down what I eat now. I write down what I spend, because sometimes just being stressed out can make your pressure go up. So many things. So it comes with trying to eliminate a lot of stress, and which is easier said than done. I'm saying it now to you, like that can lower your pressure. But sometimes it's some things that are out of your control. Things you can't control, and one thing you can control is your pressure by your lifestyle. But things you can't control, you can't let it mess up your you can't let it mess up your pressure. So some things you do, being more spiritual, talking to God. Okay, God, you got this. I can't handle this. If you talk to God, and, maybe those struggles can go to Him, or you ask Him how to do it. And I think no matter who you serve, I think everybody serves a higher being. And I think it will eliminate a lot of stress. And it can. And I think just being centered can lower your pressure. And also, exercise is such a big part of it too. So I say exercising your faith, and exercising your body, and eating right are, I think, the three main things that I think we all need to do. But exercise, eating, and exercise your faith are the three things that lower my pressure. It not only affects me by having high blood pressure, it affects your loved ones. It affects everyone around you. And you don't want them to have high blood pressure. And it affects your friends too, because then you start looking at them. Did you get your pressure checked? Do you check your numbers? The one thing that doesn't lie is numbers don't lie. So you look at other people and you say, wait a minute, you need to check your pressure when they say, I have a headache, I have this. And this way you save lives by just doing that check. Just like you have to do a checkup all the time, I think you need to do a checkup on all your numbers. As I mentioned, they don't lie, but they tell a story of your life. Whether you could be stressed out, and we all get stressed out, just living day to day. So it's affected my whole entire family, my friends, and now we're all on a different journey of change, progress, and lifestyle. I take my high blood pressure medicine every single day, as prescribed. I think we need to take it. We need to pay attention to that. And also, it becomes a habit. I did it like for 21 days in a row. If you do anything 21 days in a row, it becomes a habit. So I take it in the morning, at the same exact time and the evening at the same exact time. And I think it's what we need to do, and it's something we have to do to keep our pressure lowered. Before I found out I had high blood pressure, I would fry everything. If it said Friday, fried food, that's what Friday stood for. So I fried fish, fried chicken, fried everything, and fried zucchini, fried everything. Love fried food, love hot sauce. That is like my favorite thing in the world. Fried chicken wings, fried everything. Now, I don't eat that much fried food. And I'm not saying I eliminate it totally. You don't have to deprive yourself. So I'm not saying don't deprive yourself. I'm saying everything in moderation. And I did, like, I read the Bible, and I was like, oh, it says it right here, everything in moderation. Oh, maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I don't need to do this. So I don't overindulge in anything, whether it's retail therapy shopping, or whether it's stressed out over the bills, or whether it's stressed out. Everything is in moderation. So I think you have to take one day at a time, one moment at a time. But beforehand, I was just running, stressing, eating as I go, eating French fries, eating potato chips. And let me tell you one thing I don't do for high blood pressure. I do not eat in my car. Anything you eat in the car is bad for you. So I have a sign in there, do not eat. But that's really for me. So I don't want anybody to eat in my car. I don't want to eat in my car. It's not to keep it clean. It's to lower my pressure. If you go to the, go pump gas, what are you going to get? Some chips. That will raise your pressure. If you go through a drive-thru, what are you going to get? Things that will raise your pressure. So I never go through drive-thrus ever in life. So I stopped. I haven't been to a drive-thru since. And so now I do different things to change my lifestyle. And instead of frying the food, I bake it. Or I pan fry it in olive oil. Or I make kale versus a whole bunch of greens. I don't put pork. And I stop eating meat. So I just have fish and seafoods. But I do fry them sometimes. You know what I would do to get to the African American community to teach about high blood pressure, hypertension, and how it really affects all of us? I would go to where we are. We have to take it to the people instead of the people coming and learning about it, because I would have never known if I would have just walked to the CVS. So I think we need to have high blood pressure machines at churches sometimes. We need a nurse on staff that would just go in and say, you know what, today, and have the minister talk about, let's take care of our health, everything in moderation, and don't have the fried chicken after church. Have a high blood pressure machine, have baked chicken after church, and everybody check their pressure before they get the meal after church, or before they take communion or whatever. But, take it to the churches, take it to the schools. I think every household, every family needs a blood pressure machine. And it's something that you check, just like we check our numbers, we need to check the numbers of the family. We need to do that. And I know my kids' blood pressure, and I make them get their blood pressure checked. And I think it's something that needs to become part of our life and part of our lifestyle. And that's what we need to do, to check our hypertension and see if we have it, especially if it runs in our family. The one thing I would say if I was talking to a group of African American women, we nurture a lot, we do a lot, we try to have a balanced day, but it never ends up that way because we're always pulled so many different ways. But the one thing I would say, when you wake up in the morning, take your meds on time, make sure you eat right, write down things. But the one takeaway I would always say is give yourself to yourself before you give yourself away.